Can you clear forest with just goats? Well, we're about to find out. Many people know that goats are exceptional at cleaning up roughage. They would rather browse than graze, meaning they'd rather eat stuff that's at shoulder height or higher than that. And so I have this little patch of forest here, and I haven't really known what to do with this. And so we have some goats now, and the longtime subscribers will remember that we got goats from some friends who were just kind of ready to get rid of them. So we have two little goats, and we're going to see if we can turn this forest into something that is still beautiful, but maybe a little bit cleaner. So there's just so much food here. So how much is there? Well, obviously I didn't measure it, but if I had to guess, I would say that we're probably at about 1/5 of an acre, I would say. Maybe as much as 1/4 of an acre. It's a little bit of my own physical fence on my backyard mixed with almost 500 feet of perimeter fence going around it. While we have the goats, let's put them to work, you know? Let's let them eat what they want to eat. I have tried this with sheep. Goats are much better at this than sheep are, like hands down. Sheep will eat, but sheep will not thrive in a setting like this. Sheep are primarily grazers, not browsers. Goats primarily browsers, not grazers. Okay, so what considerations really need to be made for the electric fence? Well, obviously, there's not a lot of sunlight in here, so if you're doing a solar power option, you're going to want to make sure that where the Energizer is that you have a lot of sunshine there. So my Energizer is not in the forest. It's actually going to be on our front lawn, where this backs up to, which gets the most sun. And then as far as the fence itself, you know, if you put up an electric fence, it's not much different from doing it. Whoop, there's a hole. It's not much different from putting it on to pasture. The only consideration that I had to make is I came in here with, I have a weed whacker, but it has kind of like a bush hog attachment. It's not a blade. Well, I guess it's a blade, it's just blunt. And allowed me to really clean up underneath this. So you don't want any green touching the fence. You don't want anything leaning on the fence. I'm probably not going to go out here every day, maybe once a week, and just walk the perimeter here. But the goal of this is to let them, you know, this should be a pretty low maintenance deal. Just make sure they've got water and minerals and let them be. So here's a question you might be wondering, why not just leave the goats with the sheep? And the answer is yeah, sure, that would be easier. But what a lot of people don't realize about goats, and if you're thinking about getting goats, realize this, is that like, this is their natural environment. This is what they thrive in. This is where they want to be. Sheep, this would be great if there was like no ground cover, a lot more light coming through to get grass on the ground. There's probably a really, you know, interesting circumstance where they both work together, but as it stands, goats and sheep have different dietary needs and preferences. So yeah, the goats and the sheep, they hang out a lot of the times, but I figure if they're going to thrive here, let's just put them where they're going to thrive. Another reason why I like to separate them, at least for a portion of the year, is this right here. So that's some coarse mineral as well as a goat-specific mineral block. Sheep and goats have very different mineral needs, namely copper. You know, goats need a healthy amount of copper. Sheep, on the other hand, even moderate amounts could be lethal to a sheep. So making sure that these goats are getting the minerals that they need, at least for a portion of the year. You know, the rest of the year they can share feed with or share minerals with the sheep. I don't think that's a big deal, but you know, for as long as I can, let's make sure that they are given the stuff that they need. Alrighty, well, I am going to check in with you guys when this is cleaned up. My bet is that it's going to be about 3 to 5 weeks before this is totally, you know, as cleaned up as I think it can be. And in the meantime, these two goats are going to have the time of their life out here. Well, here we are 1 month later, almost 30 days to the dot. And you can see that they're getting desperate now for some food. They definitely have preferred the leaves over the stuff on the ground. but still eating a fair amount of what's on the ground. The point is, though, is that there's still plenty of food here for them. They prioritize the trees first. You can see pretty much, it's almost like a fire went through here and just stopped at like 4 feet up from like where they could reach. Kind of see, here's a good example of that. Right there, this tree. Down below it, there's really not much that they're getting. And if we walk to the fence line, you can see what it used to look like on the other side of the fence here. So that's probably what we could expect what I was on. And this is what they've left for us. So that's 2 little goats, and that's 1 month. So one more thing I wanted to call out is these ferns. The goats really didn't touch these ferns, which I found pretty interesting, because when I've had sheep in a similar setting, the sheep go for these ferns really quickly. I don't know if I have a conclusion based on that, but I just thought it was very interesting that there's all this green still here, and they haven't touched it, whereas, you know, this ivy that covers the ground, and of course any leaves that they can go for or reach, they're eating it. So if you're looking to clear these ferns, goats might not be the best route for you. So the real question is, was this all worth it? Yeah, it was totally worth it. I think for me, it took about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to clear the land and to put the electric fences up. It'll probably take me another hour to take them down, which I'm not looking forward to. But that's part of it. So to think of that as, you know, 2 or 2.5 hours of work for a month's worth of food. During this last month, these goats have been my lowest maintenance animals on the homestead. So that's a pretty cool thing. They've cleared out this area next to my house that frankly I've just never walked before, and so it's just nice to kind of see what they've done. So if you're wanting to clear forest, goats are honestly a great way to do that. I don't think that their reputation is overhyped. I think that they're doing the job very, very well. And there's still plenty, I mean, they're still eating here. I think just for the sake of making life easier, I'm going to integrate them back with my sheep today. But yeah, they've been really, really resilient out here. Rain, shine, heat, cold, whatever. Like, they've been doing just fine out here. So if you've thought of doing this, go for it. If you've got the electric fence, make it happen. If you don't have that electric fence, I love this Premier One electric fence. I have a link to it below in the description. Definitely check it out. If you're interested in doing this, just go for it. There's nothing holding you back. The goats will do what they're meant to do.